Northern lights could be seen in more than a dozen states this month. The Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights, could be visible in more than a dozen states next week. The stunning display of light from outer space is expected to be visible in states from Alaska to Maryland, weather permitting, between July 12 and 13. The Aurora Borealis produces neon green waves in the night sky when electrons from space collide with atoms and molecules of the upper atmosphere of Earth, according to NASA. The result is similar to when electrons collide with neon gas to create bright light bulbs. What states will be able to see the Northern Lights? According to the University of Alaska's Geophysical Institute, activity will be high on July 13 with visibility forecast in Montana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Indiana, Vermont and Maryland. The lights will also be visible in Canadian cities such as Vancouver and Toronto. Aurora activity will also be high on July 12 and the display is forecast to be visible in Alaska, Washington, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio and Massachusetts, as well as in Canadian cities like Edmonton and Winnipeg. The Aurora Borealis could be seen on the north horizon in the night sky over Wolf Lake in the Cloquet State Forest in Minnesota around midnight on Saturday, September 28, 2019. Credit: Alex Corman, Star Tribune via Getty Images. The auroras come from solar wind from the sun. Even when these winds are calm, there are auroras at some place on Earth, but they may be obstructed by clouds or sunlight, according to the Institute. The phenomenon is usually visible in Alaska, Canada, and Scandinavian countries like Greenland and Iceland during average activity. Late February to early April is usually the best time to view auroras in Alaska. When activity increases, more U.S. states like North Dakota and Michigan have the chance to see the lights. The lights are even visible in the southern hemisphere in places such as New Zealand when activity is fairly strong. When is the best time to look for them? The best time to see the lights is when the sky is clear and dark, according to the Institute. They are more visible closest to the equinox, or the longest days of sunlight in the year occurring in the spring and fall. Auroras usually occur every 27 days, and they come from solar storms. An aurora borealis, also known as northern lights, illuminates the night sky above the Kelastapuli Fell in Kalari, Finnish Lapland, early on January 15, 2022. Credit: Irene Stachin, Letiava, AFP via Getty Images. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has an animated forecast of the lights movement and says the best time to see them is within an hour or two of midnight, usually between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. local time. NASA's Parker Solar Probe, which is on a mission to the Sun, recently gathered information on the solar storms that create the Aurora Borealis. Solar winds travel 93 million miles to Earth's atmosphere, where the bursts evolve into a homogeneous, turbulent flow of roiling magnetic fields intertwined with charged particles that interact with Earth's own magnetic field and dump electrical energy into the upper atmosphere. This creates the stunning aurora in the sky, but the lights can also wreak havoc on communication systems. In 1859, the Carrington event, a strong solar eruption that made the auroras extremely bright and long-lasting, knocked out telegraph and electrical systems, according to the University of Chicago. The Sun's creation of powerful solar winds is on an 11-year cycle and the next peak in the activity is expected around 2025. Auroras will likely be easier to see at lower latitudes during this time, according to the Institute. Soccer star Megan Rapinoe to retire after 2023 season. U.S. military marks 50th anniversary of the end of the draft amid recruitment struggles. Search on for escaped Pennsylvania inmate. 6 dead in Southern California crash of private jet as visibility changed rapidly. A business jet crashed in low visibility conditions in the Southern California city of Murrieta early Saturday, killing all 6 on board, authorities said. It happened after another small plane, a Cessna 172, crashed just 4 days prior, on July 4, in Murrieta, killing its pilot and injuring 3 children on board, Riverside County Sheriff's Department officials said. In Saturday's crash, the Cessna jet was making a second approach to land at Murrieta's French Valley Airport, having abandoned its first for unknown reasons, when it went down about 4:15 a.m., according to local and federal officials. Just 20 minutes before, the National Weather Service published an observation that low clouds from the coast had moved into the Marietta area, with the top of the clouds, or the cloud deck, standing at 300 feet, according to NWS meteorologist Brant Maxwell. Visibility was measured at 3/4 mile, he said. The clouds, he said, were very low for aviation purposes. It wasn't clear if the pilots would have been made aware. At exactly 4:15 a.m., the Weather Service published an observation that visibility in the area had been reduced further to 1/2 mile, according to Maxwell, an aviation specialist based in nearby San Diego. The airport is 1,348 above sea level, and coastal clouds that sneak in through a small pass between the Palomar Mountains in San Diego County and the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County end up at its virtual kneecaps, reducing visibility in the area, he said. First responders found the aircraft fully engulfed in flames in a field, according to a news release from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. The Cessna C-550 business jet departed from Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas with French Valley Airport as its destination, according to a statement from the Federal Aviation Administration. All 6 occupants of the plane were pronounced dead at the scene. Officials have not identified the victims. The plane's owner, Michael Morris of Prestige Worldwide Flights, LLC, said there were 2 pilots on board, one of whom was acting as a co-pilot. Of the others, he said 3 were people he considers to be close friends. The pilots were diligent and highly trained, he said. I don't understand the circumstances, Morris said. Morris declined to identify the deceased because some of their family members were yet to be notified. The crash left 11 children without parents, he said. The National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration are investigating the incident. NTSB investigators were expected to be on site Saturday night. Part of the investigation will be to request radar data, weather information, maintenance records and the pilot's medical records, the NTSB said in a statement. In the July 4th crash, the Cessna's pilot, identified as 39-year-old Jarrett Newman, was pronounced dead at the scene, according to the Sheriff's Department. 3 minors were taken to an area hospital, with different degrees of injuries, the department said in a news release. The NTSB is also investigating that incident.